Help support AMTV by becoming a patron, an AMTV staff member, and following us over on Twitter.
Hi there guys, it's Martyn here, and welcome back to another video, and this time we're returning to the top 50 programs of the week. From Barb, we're going to be taking a look at the 50 most watched programs in week 4 of this year, or the last main week in January. Now, I know some of you might be immediately saying, Adam, you haven't even covered week 1, where's week 3? Very well aware of that. Those videos will come, and I'm planning to put these all in their own dedicated playlist, and then they will be in week order, so you'll be able to watch them like that. But for now, let's get the most recent one. At the time I'm recording this top 50 list has literally just dropped. Obviously, we saw the Gladiators do really well earlier in January, topping the charts even. Obviously, the Traitors has come back. That's another massive show. Will that take the top spot? Let's get right into it. Let's not waste any time. Here we go. So at 50, we've got the ITV Evening News, and I know I've said this before, but you'll find that news programs, mainly from ITV and the BBC, will find their way into the top 50, particularly when there's like really big things going on in the world. 49 is The Chase, you'll see that crop up a few times, and at 48 is Casualty. Always great to see that long-running drama pop up there. I used to be a big avid fan of that myself, so you know, it's lower down on the top 50 than it used to be years ago, but the fact it still makes it out of everything out there that Barb accumulates for, which is quite literally tons and tons of channels and streaming services, actually, that's a big up. You've got more The Chase at 47, Amanda and Alan's Italian Job at 46. 45, the BBC Weekend News. Again, not going to be the last time probably you'll see news programmes pop up on here. And now 44 to 42nd place is exclusively The Chase. 3 more episodes there, Tuesday, Monday and Wednesday's episodes actually, with the most viewed one receiving 3.1 million viewers. Again, The Chase is more than 15 years old, and it seems to have attained quite a timeless quality. It's sort of aired very consistently over the last 15 years and still pulls in a really decent sized audience. Of course, the time it's on, you know, starting at 5 o'clock on weekdays, that is a very good time, you know, just from when people are coming home from work, coming home from school. They might be having their tea if they have their dinner, you know, in a kitchen with a television there. It's a really good slot during the week, and you know, fair play to it for still pulling in all those audience members. At 41st place, you have Grantchester from ITV, one of their dramas, again, sort of tying with The Chase there. Then at 40, one of my old favourites, you've got Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, pulling in just over 3.2 million viewers. Of course, Millionaire's back. Oddly enough, it didn't have any episodes during its actual 25th anniversary year, 2023. We did a little video talking about that at the time, so if you're curious, you can go and check that out. There could be a whole plethora of reasons as to why that didn't happen, but it's back. It's the same format we know and love. Of course, Jeremy Clarkson returning as host. And again, as a big fan of this franchise, I'm so glad to see that it does crack the top 50 programs, because, you know, you look back in the day originally when Millionaire was on, and it was pulling more than 10, 15, sometimes like 16, 17 million viewers, which was an insane number even back then, you know, sort of pre-internet, pre-streaming. So the fact that out of all the choice, out of all the potential competition there is, that Millionaire can still rack up the 40th place, not bad at all. You've got more BBC Weekend News at 39th, and then at 38th, you've got more games. You've got Anton Deck's Limitless Win, that pulled in just shy of 3.3 million viewers. Not the biggest fan of Anton Deck, and that's nothing against the lads personally. I just think their style, like their humour, all that sort of stuff has never really appealed to me on a grand sense as it does to many others, but that's absolutely okay. But, you know, fair play to them getting 38th. 37th is Dancing on Ice. So again, another long-running programme that still has a lot of popularity. Not for me personally, and of course there's the new hosting duo of Stephen Mulhern and Holly Willoughby. Make of that what you will. 36th is Would I Lie to You, the long-running sort of quiz. Well, it's not really a quiz, it's sort of like it's a comedy show, isn't it? Hosted by Rob Brydon. I do like Rob Brydon, who doesn't? But yeah, nice. A lot of the long-running shows you'll find still occupy the top 50, really, when you break it down. 35th place is BBC News at 6, yet again, another edition of the news. 34th is Big Night of the Musicals by the National... Is that the London Orchestra? I didn't actually catch that, but Big Night at the Musicals, so that pulled in at 3.458 million viewers there, 34th. As an actor myself, I'm obviously great. It's great to see programs like this make the top 50. It shows the interest in like musicals in general, the interest in our industry, in what we do, is still up there. That really warms my heart, really does us a good service. 33 is the FA Cups. We're just pipped by Sport, as it indeed is 32nd and 31st place, you can see there. Now, football, things tend to be split between the BBC and ITV. You can see that 33rd and 31st place were from ITV's broadcasts, and then 32nd was from BBC One. At 30th place is yet another edition of the news, of BBC News at 6. The numbers are going up. This one's on 3.749 million. Then we've got EastEnders at 29th, the first appearance of EastEnders. I've already noted about EastEnders sort of fall from grace in terms of ratings. I'm not saying in terms of quality, but in terms of ratings. You know, from consistently being top of the charts or being in the top 10. Rarely sees that now these days. This is, of course, the first. The second episode is right above it at 28th. And then you've got another edition of the news before The Tourist reaching 26th with 3.865 million viewers. And again, this was a big show when it first came out. It seems to have lost a bit of that momentum, but you know, still top 30 placement. Then you get the first edition of Coronation Street to appear at 25th with 3.868 million viewers. And again, this is a show like EastEnders that would consistently occupy the top 10 without fail for years and years on end. So, you know, even though these older programs still persist, they're still in the top charts, as it were. Their position's not always guaranteed as the years go on. And yet another soap above it at 24th with Emmerdale, just pulling in just shy of 100,000 more viewers than Coronation Street or that particular episode with 3.95 million. Again, Emmerdale seems to be one of the most watched soaps out of all of like the big, what is it now, the big four. So like EastEnders, Corrie, Emmerdale, Hollyoaks. Emmerdale seems to be reigning above them all. You don't see Hollyoaks in the top 50 at all. 23, now this is a really interesting one. This is The Traitors Uncloaked, which airs on BBC Two, one of the rare times you'll see BBC Two appear on this. And again, great to see BBC Two almost crack the top 20. 23rd place for BBC Two. That is a remarkable score, if you ask me. I mean, it pulled in literally just shy of 4 million viewers, which in this day and age for a program on BBC Two, especially something like Uncloaked, which I believe is like, you know, a lot of reality shows. It's like the supplement program that comes after the broadcast of the base program and provides either like behind the scenes, additional detail, discussion. For a show like that to not only crack the top 50 but almost scrape the top 20 is remarkable, quite frankly. Then at 22, you have another episode of EastEnders. So will it crack the top 20 this week? 21st is another edition of the news. Again, will that be the last time we see it? Who knows? This particular one at 21st pulled in just over 4 million viewers. There we go. We've got another episode of EastEnders at 20th place. And this is the best EastEnders will do this week. So again, sort of showing its fall from grace in terms of these, you know, these ratings charts. 20th is still good. You've just got in the top 20 there, with Thursday's episode pulling in 4.038 million viewers. So where it was once king, 'tis no longer. But we've still got ITV's two main soaps, and we'll see how they do. As you can see at 19th, you've got Emmerdale there, another episode of that. Before Dragon's Den at 18th place there. Again, Dragon's Den being another very long-running show. It's been on television for, oh, well, God knows how long. But it still pulls in consistently. Top 20 placement, very good. 17th, 16th, and 15th, actually, you have the last three installments of Emmerdale for that week, with Thursday's episode taking 17th, Monday's 16th, and Friday's 15th. The highest, or most viewed, I should say, episode of Emmerdale, pulling in just over 4.2 million viewers. And again, for a soap opera that's been running as long as Emmerdale has, over 50 years, not a bad result. Not a bad result at all, but it makes me think Emmerdale might not be the top soap of the week. We see at 14th, we've got another edition of the BBC News at 6 with just 4.267 million. Again, for the news to get top 20 is quite remarkable. That Monday, which was Monday the 22nd of January, that must have been a particularly busy day. Then at 13th, we have Corrie, so Corrie's done better than Emmerdale this time, followed by The Masked Singer, placing 12th. Again, the popularity of The Masked Singer quite frankly baffles me, but if a lot of people enjoy it, that's absolutely fair enough. Clearly just not my thing. 11th is Coronation Street. This is the most watched episode of Corrie this week, so just missing out on that top 10, you see, just scraping that. So not saying soaps have fallen out in favour entirely, but I'm telling you, Corrie and EastEnders normally used to occupy 9/10 of the top 10 regularly. So this most viewed episode of Corrie was Monday's, and it got 4.473 million. I do wonder with the soaps how many people are still watching like live, and then how many are watching on catch up using either like BBC iPlayer or ITVX, because I guess I always thought the appeal of soaps was you'd come in, you know, you'd make it appointment viewing to watch it every night to catch up with the story. But now that streaming services and catch-up services have become so accessible to the majority, not all, but to the majority of viewers, it makes me wonder what that ratio is now. At 10th then, the top 10, Antiques Roadshow. Again, such a simple program with such a dedicated following. The fact it's got 10th place out of all the programs Barb accumulates is mad. That had just over 5 million viewers there. In 9th place, we've got Michael McIntyre's Big Show. Again, he's a very popular figure in our entertainment, has been for the past 15 years. He got 5.5 million viewers there. At 8th place, ITV kick in there with After the Flood, another episode of their ongoing drama series with 5.74 million. Then at 7th place, speaking of drama, BBC just kicks above with Silent Witness, which has gone on for, again, decades at this point, but still clearly pulls in a big crowd. That had, see the leap there from After the Flood. It pulled in more than 600,000 more for a total of 6.344 million viewers, so there's still life in the old dog yet, clearly. 6th place, ITV kicking in again, is Trigger Point, which had 6.368 million, so pipping Silent Witness there. And I'm afraid to say, for ITV fans, this is their highest placement. So we're going to have a BBC-led one again. Some of you might be able to guess what it is. But again, ITV 6th place, not bad, but probably not what they want to see. So then we enter the top 5, and in 5th place, it was our former reigning champions. It's Gladiators, with this week's particular episode pulling in 6.483 million. Now, I think we always knew, didn't we, after it topped the charts when it first came back. I mean, I didn't think it was going to consistently stay at number 1. I think a lot of that audience was mainly, like intrigued that the show was back. They wanted to see what it was like, and clearly they enjoyed it. And still, a lot of people have enjoyed it. Even though it's a dip, it's still a big, sizable number these days. Nearly 6.5 million viewers tuning into, this kind of show. So I'll be curious when it actually finishes its run, just to compare all the numbers and see what the drop-off rate was, or if it bounces back up. I mean, will it ascend higher than 5th place? We'll have to see. At 4th place, we have Call the Midwife, which had 6.85 million viewers tuning in. Again, this show is just something that keeps on giving in terms of for the BBC, because audiences keep flocking back. I don't know how much more they can make out of it, but as long as they do and the ratings are this strong, they're going to do it. Right, the top 3 then. Unsurprisingly, at 3rd place, you have Wednesday's episode of The Traitors, which pulled in 7.4 million. Again, for a show like this, that sort of reality-style show, it's been a massive hit, not just for the BBC, but I think for the genre in general, because, let's face it, the reality bubble has sort of burst, I think, within, the last year. Not totally, you had Big Brother last year, which definitely provided a bit of a boost, a bit of a resurgent interest, but the old bastions like Love Island and stuff, they are dropping off like crazy in terms of their numbers. I mean, you can look at it on the Barb's individual channel by channel basis. I don't think it's not any grand secret, but I think The Traitors has really reinvigorated the genre and particularly scored a big reality hit for the BBC. This is mainly ITV's area of expertise, so for the BBC to come in and have this rousing success is great for them. Then in 2nd place, again, it's Thursday's episode of The Traitors, which this was their final week building to the climax. This pulled in 7.611 million viewers, so more than 200,000 people tuned in to find out what was going on. And in 1st place, the most watched program of what Barb calculates for the week of the 22nd to the 28th of January 2024 is, unsurprisingly, The Traitors. This is Friday's episode, the finale of The Traitors, no less. This pulled in a whopping 8.026 million. Again, in this day and age in 2024, that is a big number. That is not to be snubbed at. In fact, that is rather good, especially for a show like The Traitors. So again, just looking at those numbers, I mean, compared to even Thursday, the day before, I know this is all based on the 7-day figures, so people would have caught up as well. But I mean, more than 400,000 people tuned in for the finale. So this series has just been a big success overall, taking the top of the charts for this particular week. As I do, here is a little graph version of the top 15 programs specifically, and compared to, you see Emmerdale down there at 15th, and just look at how steep that eventually gets. I'd say there's no major jumps this week, not like we saw with when Gladiators topped the charts, but you can see The Traitors is still miles away even from 4th, 5th and 6th place there. just an astonishing achievement. And I mean, just to tally up some numbers, in the top 10 specifically, out of the 10 programs, the BBC, or BBC One specifically, had 8 of them. 8 out of the 10 most watched programs were from BBC One. The other 2, of course, being from ITV1. So it just shows that I think the main channels aren't dead. This just reinforces the theory. If you produce good programming, interesting programming that people will tune into across all demographics, ages, whatever, then you're going to have results like that. So another hugely successful week for the Beeb and the Traitors in general. So congrats to the Traitors, all the team who worked on it, all the contestants, all the staff, whatever. This has clearly been a big phenomenon, and I'll be very curious, because let's face it, there's going to be another series of this. I'll be very curious to see whether it can maintain that success, or like a lot of reality things, is it going to drop off? I think if they play their cards right, if they leave a little time, because I often think with reality shows, the more they rush out new series into production, that's where people become less interested. So if the Traitors takes its time, like it did between series 1 and 2, if it takes its time, maybe that interest will be restored, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that is the list. Again, here are the top 15 programs via that graph. So I'm curious now, what do you think? What do you think about this top 50 list of programs? Do you think the Traitors was a worthy winner? Do you think something else in the top 10 ideally should have got there? Or do you think there's a program that wasn't featured in this list at all that definitely should be? You know, whether it was snubbed or ignored is besides the point. But if you think something got a bit shafted and deserves more credit than it got, let me know down in the comments below. That is all for this video, so remember to please leave a like on it if you enjoyed it, and do subscribe to us as well here at AMTV. We'd love to have you aboard, and again, I'm hoping to become more consistent with these Barb uploads week after week. I will get weeks 1 and 3 out in due time as well, but then the idea is every week I will be able to get these videos to you in a timely manner. But in the meantime, I've been Adam Martyn from AMTV. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you to our patrons for helping to support the show, and a special thank you to Macra, Ben Freeman, Ethan Carberry-Holt, Bruce Danton, Globe of Reviews, Derek Chambers, Shaun Knock, Daud Khan, Liam De-Maine, Trev Hughes, AJ Mac 200017, Harper, Deck KP20, and Simon Harrison, our AMTV staff members.